Hey everybody, welcome to week 4 of our summer reading, our colorful crafts. This week is green. We're going to make this very cool string art green leaf. Now this is what I'm going to give you the supplies for. If you don't care for the leaf or if you'd like to do something else, you are welcome to get your own supplies. Use the little wooden disc that I give you because you could do a lot of stuff. I'm also going to give you, included in the package, you're going to get 2 leaf patterns. Because if you look, I tried and failed once, so I had to turn it over and do it again. The nice thing is, unless I showed you, you would never know. So, we're also going to play a little bit with our fast forward because there's no way that you guys want to watch me pound, 45 to 50 nails. So in your kit, you're going to get a disc, you're going to get 2 leaves, and then 2 colors of embroidery floss. So I have a light green and a dark green. And I wish you could see them a little better because the screen is very vibrant. I really like it. And then the dark green. So what I did here was after I did all my nails, I did the inside, the first layer is light green. And then I did an outline in the dark to kind of give it that more exact, give people more of an idea of what it is. Because you can do as much of the light green as you want. And I'm saying, I could definitely have done some more. But you just play with it and you see what happens. This is one of those crafts that I can show you all the steps, but then it's going to be up to you to finish the project. Okay. I will say this, with these are actual rounds from trees. So they're dirty. Okay, they're going to get bark all over your house and all over your workspace. Just be prepared for that. So if that bothers you, I'm sorry. Okay, so with one leaf pattern, now you have a couple options here too, because one thing you could do is use a pencil and blacken the back around, and then when you set it down, then very gently trace the outline of your leaf. Then it's already on the wood, you don't have to worry about it moving, and you'll probably never notice it. My problem is you can't really erase it, it would be very difficult, and I don't really want to, so instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to nail around this, and then we're going to tear it off, okay? Now I did this 2 ways. So the first time I did it, after I finished my first outline with the lighter green string, then I tore her off. Now that was much more difficult because of course I can't just lift it off the top of the nails. I've got to tear it out, and like these inner hiccups. Oh, excuse me. I just got back from vacation, and let me tell you, I had hiccups multiple times a day. So I would stop and start again, but I'll tell you, it's not going to make a difference. I'm just going to keep hiccuping. Okay. So what I was saying is after I did my first outline, then I tried to tear off the paper. It was very hard to get it from the inside. It's possible. If you want to spend the time to do it that way. If you don't want to spend the time to do it, you don't have to. Okay? After we pound all the nails in, then you can go ahead and tear the paper off. And then you would have this one here to use as kind of a guide when you start doing the string part. Okay, it's up to you. So center this or put it where you want it. If you want it to one side, maybe you want to do another little string guy over here, or maybe you just like the off-center aesthetic. I can do that, but not today. Some days it's easier than others. Okay, so what thing I discovered is you want to work from the top down, okay? Or from the bottom up, but you only want to go one direction. So I'm going to put my first nail at the very, very top point. And I want to nail it in probably about halfway, okay? So I also want to be sure I get it as straight as possible. The more angle it's at, you can't really see it on the finished project, but it can make it a little difficult to do your stringing if it's not as straight up and down as possible. Okay. So then I'm going to do the inside, because that's the other thing I found out, is you can't do the outside and then come back and do the inside. That doesn't work. Yeah, I found that out the hard way. Okay. So, and you're going to finish, and not all your nails are going to be in the exact same distance, and it's going to drive you nuts. So at the end, come back, and you can hammer them in more. So then they're a little bit more secure. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to have Miss Ashley fast forward this so you don't have to watch me pound in every single nail. Okay? But kind of pay attention to the pattern that I follow. Okay? So I'm always going to start with the tip. And I'm always going to try to get it as straight as possible and about halfway. These are 3/4 inch nails. And you do want to be sure you have a nail. Now, some people might say brad. The brad does not have a defined head on the top, okay? That's the main difference between a brad and a nail. You want this, especially when you're just learning. Now, maybe later when you're all fancy and you can do this in your sleep, then you can do the brads. But for our first project, you definitely want to use the small nail. You will get 50 in your kit, okay? And it's not going to stay still, okay? You're going to be rotating. You're going to be moving this around as you go. You are not getting a hammer in your kit either. You have to provide your own. I have to provide my own, so do you. No, the library had a hammer. We used to have a little crafty hammer. Okay, so you can kind of see we've got this nice little outline going here. Now it's really visible right now because I've got the paper. When I take it off, that can get a little trickier, okay? So now Miss Ashley's going to go ahead and fast forward me. And I will see you guys in just a little bit. Okay, everybody, so we have our nails pounded in. Now I have the choice. I can either go ahead and tear this off now, which is actually kind of fun because you can kind of lift it. Okay. And then just tear this off. Okay. It doesn't have to be good. You know why? Because we have our second template here that we can keep track. We can keep track of where we are and what we're doing. Okay. Now, the first time I did this, I pulled out some nails doing this because I didn't have them hammered in far enough. If you pull out a nail, just hammer it back in. Okay? So you can still kind of see the outline. It's not perfect, but that is okay. So like I said, first thing we're going to do is start with the green, the lighter green. At least this is what I want to do. If you want to do it the opposite way, do it the opposite way. If you want to only do one color, only do one color. It is up to you. You have all the choices in the world. Now I started with a slip knot. So to do a slip knot, I wrapped around my fingers. I'm going to hold on to that tail, but I'm going to pull. See how that worked? So slip knots work two different ways, and it just depends on which side is your. It took me forever to figure this out. So if I pull this thread under, then I can adjust the length of my tail by pulling it tighter. And And loosen this guy. You know, you can make these adjustments. What we're going to do is we're just going to tie a slip knot. Okay. Put it, ooh, see this? This is what happens. You get one. It decides it's going to live its own best life. But its best life is not our best life because it's all crooked. Okay. Got my slip knot. I'm going to put it over the point and pull it tight. Now, I have options here. I could just go ahead and weave it in as I go, or I could trim it. I also have a little bit of glue here, which is my preferred method. I'm going to take a little bit of glue, because I'm paranoid and I don't want it to, I mean just like a little tiny bit of glue. I'm going to put a little bit on that thread, and I'm going to put these two together, okay? And I'm using the good clear school glue, nobody will ever know. Paper towel, keep your paper towel handy, and your scissors. Okay. Now it will dry, okay? Nobody will ever notice. It's going to be buried in all your string anyway. Not a big deal. Now, see if we can't sharpen that up for you a little bit. See, your string automatically wants to wind where you don't want it, and it doesn't want to wind where you do want it. So, this is the first time what I did, and I'm going to do this again. I went ahead and you go outside the outside curves, okay, and then inside the inside curves. So if you were coming up this way, you would come around, and then where the curve changes directions, yep. See, I told you, it only wants to wind where you don't want it to wind. You get this nice teardrop shape, okay? That gives you a good outline of the top part of your leaf. But we have all these really cool veins. Now, again, if you don't like my leaf, you can find another one. There are plenty on the internet, okay? There are leaves out there. So I'm going to come around this one and this one. And if it's ever not going the direction I want it to go, I just take it, let's see, and I can always just wrap it around and make it go the direction I want it to go, okay? We have little visitors today at the library. It's great. They're having a really good time aside from the, you know, somebody fell down a little bit ago. That just happens. All right. Sometimes it doesn't want to go all the way. Sometimes it's going to split your thread, okay? When that happens, you want to come back and just kind of work around it again. Okay. Be patient. Also, what's going to happen is you're going to lose tension at some point, and it's going to be super aggravating, and then it's going to unwind like 3 or 4 different tacks. That's okay. We'll survive that too. Ah. Okay. So once you get kind of a basic outline, then what I would start to do would be hitting, oh, not getting my yarn wound up. I'm going to kind of fill in the empty spots, okay? You go here. Nope. Yep, okay. Keep track of where you are when you're working too, because it's very easy to lose track. And just take your time Wind your string. And you can do this as tight. Well, you want to keep your string tension high, but you can use as little or as much string as you want. Okay, I'm going to do a lot more this time than I did last time, because that's kind of what I'm feeling. It's not hard, but it can be tricky, okay? Just keep track of where you are and what strings you're using. Okay. Now the way I've done this, I've kind of done one side with a lot and one side with a little less. So I can either keep, I want to put a little bit on this side, but maybe I want one side to be a little heavier with string than the other. Okay, these are all options. And I'm just unwinding my embroidery floss. Like I said, you can, if you don't care for the colors in your package, embroidery floss is actually pretty cheap. So, no. Pay attention, make sure if it splits that you back up, because that's annoying. It's annoying. Thank you, string, for being annoying. Yeah. You could also use waxed thread if you really wanted to. But that's kind of overkill, in my opinion. Now, making waxed thread is actually pretty easy. You just basically take a candle and rub the wax, and you just like hold it in one hand and pull the string along the wax. We used to have to do that in bookbinding sometimes if our thread was splitting for that, because that's problematic. Yeah. Now you can use as many or as few nails as you want to. Just depends. Maybe you don't want to have as many nails as I used. Last time I only used 45. This time I used 50. And probably could have used one or two more. But that's okay. Now I'm still trying to keep track of where those veins are, because I'm going to outline them in the dark string, in the not too distant future. Sorry guys, my hands are kind of in the way, but I'm trying to keep my thread tension. Oh yeah, you can do this with just regular yarn too. But I felt fancy, so we're going to use embroidery floss. Okay. When you get as much as you want, I almost have as much as I want. Okay. Now comes what I think of as the tricky part, because now it's time to tie knots. Okay. I'm kind of going to bring all my string up to the top so I get a really good view. So I'm going to cut the end, give myself enough to work with. Okay. And I'm just going to tie a granny knot. Okay. So loop over and under. Oops. No. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to get it Try to keep it all on one. You're over and under, fine, we'll go there. Okay, now half a granny is probably enough, but we're gonna do that little blue trick again, okay, because I'm paranoid and I don't want anything to come undone, okay. Not that it's going to. We've got, need slightly more glue than I thought. It's still just a little teeny tiny amount. Now you'll notice I left these two at the end. That's because these are the stem of the leaf, and I really wanted to accentuate the stem, okay? So I bring in my contrasting thread, all right? I'm gonna do that half, that slip knot again. Okay, I'm gonna put it around one of these two guys. Pull it tight. Of course, I cleaned all the glue off my fingers, but you kind of have to. This is why you keep paper towels around. Okay. When you do trim this, be sure that you are only trimming your tail thread. Do not trim the long thread, or, well, I mean, it's not a huge deal. You'll just have to retie your knot. Okay. Stick those two together. No, go together. Be friends. There we go. Okay. Oops. I'm going to give them a little twist there. They're going to be friends whether they want to be or not. Okay. I'm going to take this around the outside. Now for this, I'm going to push the lighter green thread down a little bit to make a little bit of room. I know, we just pulled it up. The nice thing about this is your thread is mobile, okay? You can make whatever adjustments you need to make it work for you, okay? Because we really want this dark green thread on top. And we'll come back, we'll do another round of it too, okay? Because I want it to be really highlighted. Okay, and then this time I'm going to come up here and I'm going to outline, oops, let's see, pull out my handy dandy template and I say, okay, so I actually want to bring it up and around and up and around. Oops. You know what? If you don't get it exact, again, it's not the end of the world. No, everybody's going to be so excited that you did something like this, they're not even going to notice any details of anything. They're just going to be like, oh, that's so cool. And I know Miss Laura's doing something like this for the teens, so now when your teen starts to do it, you can be like, oh no, I've already done that this week. I guess you're not as cool as you think, because, you know, we gotta keep those teens guessing. They don't know what's cool. All right. And I'm going to go around the outside one more time. Oops. Just to really outline my leaf. Like I said, I want it to be bold. Okay. And when it gets to the end, I'm going to cut my thread, give myself plenty to tie. So I'll tell you what, there's nothing worse than trying to tie a knot and not having enough thread. This is where we're going to do that granny knot. So, or half granny. I'm going to tie this one just around the right one. But I'm going to start it out in the air. Okay. Now, obviously, you could also work with the thicknesses of your thread if you had a thicker thread that you wanted to use. And a little tiny bit of glue. My hands are a mess, but that is okay. We just expect that in crafting. Okay, little bit on that string. Put that guy, and then I'm going to make these guys be friends. Okay. No, be friends. Okay, there they go. Now they're friends. And that is how you do your leaf. Just take your time, like I said, when you're pounding in your nails, and see, this is a good time. Come back, tighten everything down a little bit. You'll see we have different layers of yarn or of string, but it looks good. It looks cute. Send us pictures. Let us know how yours turned out. I can't wait to see everybody's. We will see you guys next week for our blue craft. I think you're going to really like it. If I remember correctly, it's going to involve hot glue, which is always a good time. All right. Everybody have a great Wednesday, a great rest of your week, and we'll see you soon. Thank you again for joining us for String Art. Our video word of the week is moss. Sort of like this darker green. Trust me, it's kind of a moss color. Everybody have a good one. We'll see you next week.